Finally, some Blade news. All hail King Spawn. I can't wait till they drop the Snyder cut of my life story. Also, I have a page worth of Deadpool and Wolverine news. Let's fucking go. All this and more on Cutting Edge Hero Live. Welcome to Cutting Edge Hero! I am your host, the Nerd King, Danny Stewart. I'm happy to be here with you tonight. As always, I am joined by the indomitable, the beautiful, the sexy Landon. Landon, say hi to the folks.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, those dulcet tones are the best kept secret in the industry, I promise you. Also, joining us in the chat, our human relations specialist and fact checker extraordinaire, Ben Stewart, should be joining us. Ben, when you get in the comments, say hi to the nice people. Everybody, we are literally one day away from the release of Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's see. What is Billy Rhodes says, hey, Billy, good to see you in the chat. Glad you are here. He says, answer whenever you want to. But before I forget to ask, what do you think of the character designs for Absolute DC? I'm okay with them other than the weird Batman design. Like, why is he such a big, chunky boy? He is a heckin' chonker for sure. Like, the bat symbol is like massive. They were like thinking about Batflex symbol. They were like, this looks pretty big. We'd go bigger. For that, I it's a little weird for me, but we'll see how it works out. I mean, it'll start out with one artist, it'll change to another artist. It's going to change over time, so it may get less big. It almost seems like an homage to Rob Liefeld's Captain America, because the chest is so huge on that thing. But anyway, Landon, what is the nerdiest thing you have done this week?
The nerdiest thing I've done this week, I finally re-downloaded Reddit. I was clean for a year and a half.
Yeah.
I was clean, and then I got it back. I'm hooked again.
Yeah, you're back on the Reddit, huh?
I'm back on the Reddit.
Well, here's to falling off the wagon. Billy says Batman is weird. It isn't even a bat. It's just a rectangle. It is. It's just a rectangle with some spikes on it. But again, those are initial designs. I mean, obviously it's going to launch with that design, but I imagine they'll dial it back a little bit over time, or someone else will get a hold of it and make it a little more not weird. But yeah, it's a weird bat symbol for sure. Can you imagine throwing that batarang? Like, it's just going to like crush whoever it lands on. That's going to have to be like, it's not aerodynamic at all. You're basically you'd be throwing like a lawnmower blade at somebody. It's pretty big. Are you familiar with this, Landon? Did you see these designs?
I have not seen any of the Absolute DC designs.
Yeah,
I've seen like a splash image or two just from like promotions online, but I have not sat down and actually like analyzed them.
Yeah, Wonder Woman is pretty much Wonder Woman. Superman looks pretty much like a normal Superman. Like it's a couple variants on their costume, and then you just have Batman is like weird, like roided out, like massive. Like his arms are like tree trunks, like not even his legs, his arms, they're huge. Billy says it'd be like throwing a cafeteria tray. I think that's a better analogy, Billy. I think you taught me on that one for sure. Absolutely. Anyway, nerdiest thing I have done this week is I finished Borderlands 3, and now I am just playing all the side missions on it. So like, got to get that platinum, got to get that 100%. So I'm still just like, I finished the game, and I'm going to spend the next like 70 plus hours playing it, trying to get like absolutely every little nook and cranny of the map open and all of the missions completed.
So you're one of those guys that needs to 100% a game, I've noticed.
It doesn't happen often. I lose interest, but while I am hyper fixated on it, because you may not know this about me, but I'm very ADHD. While I'm hyper fixated on it, it seems really, really important to me. And then whenever I eventually get burned out, I'll forget the game even exists. So the only game I've ever platinum beginning, like 100%ed beginning to end, got absolutely everything, was Bloodborne.
Oh, and you just did that like a couple weeks ago.
That was months ago, I would say. It's been a while since I finished Bloodborne. But yeah. Ben is in the chat. Ben, glad you are here. It's okay. You're not that late. We started a little late too. You know, I was writing up all of these notes I have for us to discuss in the news. Speaking of, hey Landon, you want to go into some bullet points?
I would love to hear some bullet points.
All right, everyone, welcome to the bullet points. So first off, we got a little news about we are Ben says TVMA, huh? Yeah, absolutely. Did you throw the warning up before we
I forgot to throw the big warning up.
throw the big warning up real quick, just so everybody knows. There we go. And so that's the warning for the show. We're gonna try to make sure we're putting that up before the show. And Landon, what was the deal with the sexual situations?
Oh, well, I just said that we will hit those at some point tonight. But if you want to punch me in the face real quick, we can hit violence right off the bat.
I could be violent to many people, but never you, Landon. You're too precious. You are
kind.
too perfect. You're an angel. But anyway, so we're TVMA now, and we kind of shows I've done previously always kind of were, but we didn't give anybody any kind of warning. And I just feel like if I want to say fucking shit as much as I want to, I should just let like people be aware beforehand. So there you go. Got a nice little TVMA. And it gives us that like hardcore edge that you like didn't expect us to have, like Wolverine or Deadpool and Wolverine had to have that R rating. We gotta have the TVMA rating just because we're so hardcore. But anyway, doesn't matter. So Kevin Feige, the father of all of our dreams, Billy's right. We can finally show that deep cleavage. Get a good look at this. There you go. Oh yeah, some plunge for you. But anyway, Kevin Feige says that he has read half of the current draft of the Blade script. Longtime writer for Kempachi, glad to see you in the chat. I'm glad you're here. What is up? Longtime Marvel writer Eric Pearsons is said to be writing the script, the new script for the Blade movie. And Kevin Feige says he's read half of the current draft of Blade and it's feeling good so far. So we may actually have a script that we can move forward on. Kempachi wants to know, what day are you going to see Deadpool and Wolverine? I will be at the 7:30 show tomorrow here at our local theater. So yeah, if you got tickets for the 7:30, like come hang out with the Nerd King, say hey. It's gonna be a good time. I am excited. I'm torn on whether I want to wear my full Deadpool costume or break out the Wolverine helmets for the show. I'm not sure. They won't let you wear masks into the theater because of the like Batman Dark Knight Rises shootings or whatever, but I could at least take it maybe. Kempachi says his son Holden and he are going on Friday at noon. I will well, obviously we're not going to have any spoilers tonight. There have been a lot of leaks and spoilers that have hit the internet, kind of giving everything away for the film. I haven't watched any of that. I have avoided it as like the plague. I am staying away from it. I normally don't mind being spoiled before I go into a movie. I have a really good ability to just kind of like mentally put myself where I would have been had I not known this information before I watched it. But at the same time, I think just for this one, I want to go in clean. Usually I would be spoiling it myself. As soon as the information hits the internet, I'd be all over forums and I might be on Reddit, taking up Landon's addiction. But for right now, no, I'm going in blind. But yeah, dude, after you've seen it, let's talk about it. But yeah, dude, I'm pumped. Can't wait for 7:30 tomorrow. It's going to be a blasty. I'm very much excited. Also in other Kevin Feige news, that it is not Deadpool related, because I'm getting to Deadpool last and I have a lot of Deadpool stuff, but Kevin Feige did other stuff this week. Kempachi says he's a rumor and leak whore. Yeah, absolutely. Me too. I'm a slut for a good rumor. he also was asked if he could see a crossover between the MCU and DC in the future. And his response was like he doesn't know that it'll ever happen. Like that's kind of crazy, but also he's looking at everything they've done with the MCU so far and how incredible that has been. And he's saying never say never. He's saying it's a possibility. It's not something they're currently working on, but it is possible that in the future we'll see some Marvel and DC crossovers on the big screen. And if you've been a fan of some of my earlier works, the other shows I've done, I have been talking about this for a while. In that, whenever we completely run out of good ideas, or we're really feeling like we're just not going to get any more money out of the MCU, they're probably going to lean into some Marvel and DC crossovers that we will see it the same way it happened in the comics when they start to run out of good ideas, or they're just not drumming up enough excitement. We may see that Marvel DC crossover. So I'd say, me personally, mark it down, maybe 10 years at the most before we see a Marvel DC crossover movie on the big screen. But you guys remember that 10 years from now, remind me, we'll talk about it. In manga news, actually, hold on. I had one more. Actually, now it's confusing. I could have just moved on. Why did I do that? Anyway, in other news, Netflix has just dropped the trailer for the director's cut, the Snyder cut, if you will, of Rebel Moon. So forgive me, I've not seen Rebel Moon yet. Landon, have you partaken of Rebel Moon?
I have not seen Rebel Moon either.
So apparently these are almost 3.5 hour long cuts of part 1 and part 2. So it's like over 6 hours total to watch part 1 and 2 of Rebel Moon with the Snyder cut. And he says that it just expands the mythos and gives you more story, and that he had made the movie with the intent of eventually releasing a director's cut of it, just because limitations or whatever for releases and streaming and all of that. He wanted to say more making the movie, but he had to cut everything for time. So now he's turned around and then is releasing the Snyder cut onto Netflix. I might actually have to get around to watching this eventually. For me, Zack Snyder's films are hit and miss for me. I really enjoyed Sucker Punch when it first came out, and then everybody trashed on it. Ben and I have talked about this a few times. Mass Murderer of Steel is a little weird in the way that they had to make like Superman more edgy, but also like Henry Cavill was like the perfect casting of Superman. I just wish he'd have gotten a better like first outing. But it was watchable, and Batman v Superman was awesome. I love that movie. I think Ben Affleck is the best on-screen Batman to date. Kenpachi says he enjoyed them, but they're not Star Wars. It was nice to watch a space epic that I do not need 20 years of lore to keep up with what is going on. I could see wanting to pivot and not have that auspice over you for a space epic, kind of like watching Firefly. Yeah, Landon's giving me the nod. He agrees. But yeah, that being said, again, I haven't watched it. I know that it was originally his pitch for a Star Wars film that they decided not to go forward with at Lucasfilm and Disney, and then he decided to go ahead and make it anyway, and just far enough away from the established Star Wars canon not to get sued. So that's Rebel Moon. So yeah, I'll probably check out the director's cuts eventually. In manga news, for those of you who are fans of Hunter x Hunter, either the original series or the re-release, both not being completed, they have the creator of Hunter x Hunter, Yoshihiro Tagashi, is finally releasing chapter 38 of the manga on September 4th. Now, for those of you who aren't in the manga world and you don't know how important this is, I want to know what happens at the end of Hunter x Hunter. And it's been a years-long cliffhanger. But for how quickly they're releasing these chapters, chapter 37, the previous chapter of Hunter x Hunter's manga, was released in October of 2023. So now September 2024, we're going to get chapter 38. He's taken, about 11 months in between releasing chapters of this manga. So eventually we'll get the anime, but hurry up and wait, I guess. Kenpachi said that Rebel Moon felt very Firefly-ish, but Firefly has better characters in his opinion. It's hard to beat. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion in anything. So I mean that's two powerhouses right there, and that's not even the entire cast. But yeah, Firefly incredible. Serenity, great movie. Ben is jumping ahead of us in the news, but he says TMNT plus Naruto is more important. I totally agree with that. But in other news, Todd McFarlane unveiled the title of the Blumhouse produced Spawn movie. They're calling it King Spawn. For those of you who are not familiar with this storyline, it was an alternate reality version of Al Simmons being pushed to be the king of hell, and he eventually took over the throne of hell. That is apparently the story they're using for the new Spawn movie that we'll be releasing. No other details are out so far, but they're at least that far on it, and they're working on a script, so that's cool. And then Ben, to jump into what you just said, we have IDW in conjunction with Viz Media has released their first images of the TMNT and Naruto crossover. Landon's going to throw that up there for us. So yes, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in all of their ninja glory will be coming to the Hidden Leaf Village in the Land of Fire to go on an adventure with the Ninja Turtles. Apparently the story happens whenever April O'Neil meets Tsunade, and they end up working together, and it brings the turtles into their world. I imagine it's an alternate version of the Ninja Turtles, probably not your standard comic version, but it'll be interesting to see the story go down, and I'm excited. I hope it eventually, like Batman meets the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, gets a video release. I would love to see an animated version of that as well. So I'm excited about that. I'm a huge TMNT fan. If you can't tell, I've got the OG Turtle Pops up here, and then I've got a Michelangelo back here somewhere. Nope, that's Jack Skellington. Like him too. Ben says you think they'll love ramen instead of pizza. No, I think it'll definitely still be pizza. They'll probably have like a ramen covered pizza. Deontay the Giant is in the chat. Deontay, what is up? Glad to see you here, buddy. I am excited. Glad you are here. We are looking forward to talking all sorts of news with you tonight. So also in live action One Piece news, Zolo Maraduena, who is the main, you could say he's like one of the main characters in, you could say he's one of the main characters in Cobra Kai, has been cast as Portgas D. Ace for the One Piece live action, which is pretty exciting. You know, he's got the martial arts chops. He's a good actor. He was Blue Beetle. He's been in some good stuff. I think that he's a great addition to the team. I'm excited for that. Ben says there isn't pizza in the Hidden Leaf. I can agree with that up to the point where in Baruto's favorite food is a good old American cheeseburger. I imagine pizza could be somewhere on the menu in the Leaf Village. And if it isn't, it could be that the turtles introduce him to it, which I think is a great story point. But a ramen pizza, win-win, man. You know, get up in there. Who doesn't want a ramen pizza? Landon, would you like a ramen pizza?
I'm honestly been sitting this whole time you first mentioned it, thinking about it, and it sounds horrible to me.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep it all on the pizza slice as you take bites and not have it just slide off, and you're just left with pizza crust sounds terrible.
If you put it under the cheese is going to hold it together. That's like the glue in the pizza situation, you know?
Still, it's just all those noodles. I'm imagining trying to have spaghetti pizza, you know?
I need an audio file of you just saying it's just all those noodles. If you could do that for me, please.
Sure. I'm scared what you're going to use it for, but I'm
just
sure.
Do it, man.
Okay. You mean right now?
Yeah. Just say it so I can cut it from the show. He's not going to do it. Anyway, if you've seen the film Nobody starring Bob Odenkirk, they are working on about to begin production on Nobody 2, and it has cast its big villain for the sequel, and it's going to be Sharon Stone. So previously, Sharon Stone played a villain in the Halle Berry Catwoman movie, and we all know how well that went. But I did enjoy Nobody 1, so there is a possibility this could be good. It will be interesting seeing if she's like a brawler or like a badass or just like a lady in charge or how that's all going to go down. But I do want to see a fist fight between Bob Odenkirk and Sharon Stone. So I hope that happens. Billy Rhodes says he would hate a ramen pizza, and he thinks pizza ramen is the way to go. You could do a ramen with like pepperoni on top, like an egg, some cheese maybe. Can you put cheese in ramen? I've never had a cheesy ramen.
You can put cheese in ramen.
Yeah, okay.
You can
Landon confirmed. Huh?
You can put anything in ramen.
That's an even better sound clip. See, you have to do the. It's just all the noodles.
I'll clip it when we're done. I'll even take multiple takes for you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you putting in the work. Transformers 1, the film starring Chris Hemsworth as Optimus Prime, or Orion, as he's known prior to becoming a Prime, is getting some really great reactions. People are saying, Ben says they have Barilla ramen. Didn't know that. People are saying that it is probably the best Transformers film to date. I'm skeptical. You guys all know that I love the original 80s Transformers animated movie. I think that's the best Transformers film to date. But apparently this pays a beautiful homage to the expanded lore and characters from the Transformers universe. And so that's pretty exciting. I'm excited to see what they do with that. It's big shoes to step in to try to be an on-screen Optimus Prime after Peter Cullen, and then yes, Ben, the theme song from the 80s Transformers movie, Peter Cullen, and then I'm drawing a blank on his name, from the Gray, Taken, he was Qui-Gon Jinn. You're killing me, Landon. Anyway, that guy, then following Liam Neeson following Peter Cullen as the voice of Optimus Prime, and now Chris Hemsworth. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited though. Anytime I get more Transformers, it's good for me. So I got my boy Optimus right here. Thank you, Ben. Got my boy Optimus right here, the Generation 1 Optimus Prime. Fantastical. Billy says he liked the Bumblebee movie a lot. I like the Bumblebee movie a lot too. The homage to Generation 1 Transformers, having all of them in there in their original forms, was awesome. And it was a great change from the way that the Michael Bay films had to change all of the Transformers to be some weird vehicle that they never look like, like Bumblebee being a Camaro for some reason instead of just introducing Hot Rod. Ben says, oh, you meant the guy from Schindler's List. Yeah, that's true. That is, you're not wrong. And I think that's, that's the line we like to live on around here, is technically correct. For those of you who are Overwatch fans or just fans of video games where you get to shoot each other, Marvel Rivals has surpassed 50,000 players on the first day of their closed beta testing. You can go to their Twitter page and be entered for a chance to win and be in on the beta as well. So if you get a chance, go check that out. But the game looks fun. I will eventually be getting it. I don't know when it's officially going to drop, but it, if anything is going to get me into superhero-based first-person shooters, it's probably going to be a Marvel-themed game. Landon, I know you had a little bit of video game news. You want to break that down for us?
Yes. So, big news right off the bat. The International Olympic Committee, in partnership with the Saudi Arabian Olympic Committee, has announced the very first Olympic esports games.
Yeah, get wrecked, idiot! You can now be an Olympian playing Fortnite. Woo!
Yeah, maybe. It will be held next year in Saudi Arabia. And as of right now, there aren't too many details floating around. This deal was just signed yesterday, so we don't have too much information, but it's officially going to happen.
The Olympics are in Paris this year. So why is it happening in Saudi Arabia?
It is a separate Olympic event. It's like how we have the Summer Olympic Games and the Winter Olympic Games.
Now we're going to have an esports Olympics. So it's not even just an esports event. It's like its own Olympics.
It's going to be its own thing, but like how these things normally go, I don't think it's going to get as much coverage as the standard Olympic Games.
And this may be asking you too much based on very little information, but is it like a every 4 years plan like they have for the Olympics and the Winter Olympics, or?
I'm not too sure. It wouldn't surprise me, But with how quickly people age out of esports, you're not going to be seeing as many repeated faces. So if they want to really like drum up promotion and have a whole lot of different like Olympic athletes be repeat competitors to increase hype, I'd imagine they do it more than every 4 years.
Okay, that's interesting. I hope that we get the esports Olympics happening every year after the Summer Olympics, and then maybe if we can get one more in between, I don't know, like the badminton Olympics or something. Billy says, I don't think I'm legally allowed in Saudi Arabia. Good to know, Billy. Good to know. That's I don't want to know. I was going to ask like why, but never mind. What do you got next, Landon?
All right. Bethesda has become the first major US game studio to unionize.
That is good for them, man.
Yeah.
Unionization is how we assure that our workers and people are not overworked and make the money they're supposed to make.
There have been other attempts in the past to work on trying to unionize different game dev studios. Sega of America is fully unionized, but it's a American arm of a Japanese company, so bit of a different ballpark there. And other places, it's more specific. Like for example, I believe ZeniMax and Activision Blizzard only have unions for voice actors and QA testers, but Bethesda's is the first full broad incorporation of a union, which is a huge step for the industry.
Yeah, congratulations, Bethesda. Way to be.
Yeah.
He has more, I swear.
Yes. Sorry. So, for anybody who's fans of The Sims, a developer for The Sims 5 has recently stated on their LinkedIn that Sims 5 has been canceled. Now, they worked in a very specific part of the game. They worked on creating things with Unreal Engine 5 and specifically for the PS5 port of the game.
Yeah.
So this can mean multiple things. It could also mean that it's just not being ported to PS5 anymore, or it could also mean that they're not using Unreal Engine 5 anymore for the game. But either way, this does signify a significant shift for The Sims 5. I've said 5 a lot, especially considering Maxis has done a lot of layoffs lately.
Yeah. My question is, and maybe it's a question born out of ignorance because I haven't played a lot of the Sims games, but what would be the improvement from a Sims 4 to a Sims 5? Like, what are you adding that's like revolutionizing Sims to the point where you're like, oh my God, I got to get out there and get my Sims 5. Like, I think at this point, the only thing that would make the Sims more fun over like what they did in 4 would be like virtual reality Sims.
Yes, Ben. Sorry, I haven't been reading comments. We already have the video game Olympics. Games done quick. Yes, we do. And I do watch them a lot. I don't know how this is going to be any different besides just a major esports event, the esports Olympics, but it might be something, they might try to do something different. I'm not too sure. We don't have those details.
Yeah.
I'm in a union. It's meh.
Okay. Yeah. I just imagine like being actively in a union and you being like, man, it's kind of meh. But imagine if you weren't in a union and unions had never existed and, your job was like 87 hours a week with no benefits and all of the exposed wire in the building is electrocuting everyone to death just randomly. And, like you're not allowed to have like water or toilets and that stuff you save for home. Just stuff like it's just crazy stuff like that happens if unions didn't exist.
A union is the only reason why I have health insurance right now. So
Way to be, way to be. I know he had Ben said 5, and then he also said 5. I see after that he said 5, and then after that he said 5. So, Billy Rhodes says if we improve the graphics enough, we can really watch the dude go to the bathroom, like really watch. Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, at what point? What is the it? And maybe I'm just being a hater. Like I've played the Sims games a few times, but I've just never really gotten into it. I've never seen the final boss of any of the Sims games, to be honest with you. But I just don't know what the improvement is from 4 to 5. And Billy Rhodes said, Ben said, dude, you just described my job to a T. A lot of exposed wiring. Got it.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm not too sure what the big upgrades would be. The Sims 4 right now is it's a very simplified Sims game, partially because it was originally designed to be an online multiplayer game. And they sort of just scrapped that project and remade it into The Sims 4. But other than that, there's not going to be much difference in The Sims. And yes, guys, there is a final boss to The Sims. All right. None of y'all have clearly played the GBA Sims games, but yeah, there is for sure a final boss.
I can't tell if you're trolling or not. I don't think there's a final boss in the Sims games. I think you're the final boss of the Sims games, honestly. I think you're the big villain. But anyway, what else you got, Landon?
All right. Biggest one for last. You ready?
I'm ready.
Danny, how familiar are you with the Deadpool ass controller?
I'm pretty familiar with the Deadpool ass controller.
So you're really familiar with this image.
Oh, I have been gandering at those games pretty regularly for the last several days.
Oh, that's fantastic. And we'll all look at them together while I go over this story. Microsoft has teamed up with the production company for Deadpool and Wolverine to make Deadpool-designed controllers that feature Deadpool's ass and Wolverine's ass. There's also some fun designs on the front and everything, but we don't care about those.
Yeah, it doesn't feature Deadpool and Wolverine's wangs on the front side.
At least for now.
Billy said, my last playthrough of The Sims, my wife died in a fire and I had sex with the Grim Reaper. Was that the final boss?
All right, packing in, boys. Billy has beaten The Sims.
Yeah, he's the champion, man. That's top tier right there. But anyway, yeah. So they got those Xbox controllers. I would never buy an Xbox. I've never owned one in my life. Ben says you have a 3D printer. Wangs for sure. Space Boy, welcome to the chat. Glad you're here, Space Boy. I killed my Sims on purpose. Is there anyone, and maybe I'm painting with broad strokes here, which is a bad idea, but is there anyone who's ever played The Sims for any length of time and not been like, you're really pissing me off, and then just kill their character off and start over? Kenpachi says the asses are removable, he hears.
You just ruined this controller for me, Kenpachi. I want you to know that. I want those asses on there 24/7.
Yeah, groping that ass and playing. It's a win-win, honestly. And they vibrate. My God, basically just selling sex toys at this point. Space Boy said, I liked killing him in the pool. Yeah, that's a common Sims murder path. You know, put him in a pool and remove the ladder.
Yeah. But imagine if you combined these controllers with the Deadpool popcorn bucket.
It's true.
It might actually kill me.
Kenpachi said, you don't have to take them off. And Ben says, Caitlin just puts the motherhood cheat code in immediately. What's the motherhood cheat code?
It's the mother load.
Mother load.
And it's the mother load of simoleons. You get a ton of money right off the bat.
Okay. Yeah, that would probably make the game easier, but also, like, does that take the fun out of it?
I mean, for me, I enjoy actually living the day-to-day life, but a lot of people just like buying a ton of stuff and essentially just making the house of their dreams and stuff like that, which to each their own.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer. Get out there and live your life in a simulated way on a video game.
It's a Sims game. There's no wrong way to play.
Valid. Apparently, you can murder your wife in a fire and fuck the Grim Reaper. So
yeah,
get out there and live your dreams, man. That's what I would do. Landon, are you ready to hear some news about Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yes, I am.
I'm going to go through this pretty quick because we got a lot of show left to do. But Sean Levy, the director of Deadpool and Wolverine, in an interview with Collider, says that they initially considered having Mephisto as the villain. We've had rumors that he was going to be the villain in WandaVision. That ended up not happening. There's been a ton of Mephisto rumors throughout the years. Well, at one point he and Ryan Reynolds were considering writing Mephisto in as the villain, but then they decided that they were going to lean on the Cassandra Nova character so that they could use the tie-in with Professor X for the Wolverine stuff after Hugh Jackman came in. But initially, prior to Hugh Jackman joining this movie, it was going to be Mephisto. To celebrate the film's release, a cartoon Deadpool is vandalizing all of the Marvel social media pages. So Billy said it was an accident. He killed his wife. Sure, it was. Do I look like a cop to you? You can be honest. But to celebrate the release, there is a cartoon Deadpool that is vandalizing all of Marvel's social media pages. The Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man, Captain America. If you go to any of them, he's tearing stuff up.
So why is it a cartoon Deadpool and not just regular Deadpool?
I don't know. They were probably just putting all those artists that they keep on staff to work, with coming up with cool little social media versions of Deadpool to drop on it.
That's fair.
I know it's the sketches they use in the credits for the Deadpool movies. It's that Deadpool.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Ben says, I'm sure if you dive deeper into the way you play, Sims tells a lot about yourself. Absolutely. It's what would you do with all of the power? But anyway, and then Ben says AMC theaters always taking the best popcorn buckets. And then the damn it, I can't remember the name of it. There's another Alamo Draft House.
Yes.
Has their own Deadpool popcorn buckets, but it's not, it's not as fuckable. The top of the head comes off instead of opening in the mouth. So, I mean, if you want that, I guess. Deadpool and Wolverine has set the record for Fandango pre-orders for 2024. And people are already calling it. They're like, there's not another movie that's going to get this close the rest of the year. And it's a lot. They've crushed it. The movie is also projected to make $370 million on its opening weekend.
I believe that 100%.
That's a big number. That is a really big number. Kevin Feige says that this is just the beginning of mutants in the MCU. Billy says she was barbecuing inside the house. What was I to do? Yeah, I understand that. I understand the need to have delicious barbecued meat smell throughout your house. I don't blame her one bit for that. So those are just the risk you take. Ben says theaters are so back, baby. I think that we can all thank Nicole Kidman for her efforts to bring us all back to the theaters. Good work, Nicole. We appreciate you. Also, starting today, July 24th, Deadpool will be at Avengers Campus at Disneyland Paris. Then tomorrow, or the 26th, he will be jumping from Paris to the Disneyland in Anaheim, California, where he will be at the Avengers Campus for people to meet and greet and get to see Deadpool live and in action at Disneyland.
Is there any reason why specifically they're doing it at different times? Is this actually Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool costume?
So I saw the costume online, the production image they showed of it. It's not the Deadpool movie costume. So I'm not sure. It would be interesting if post the release of the film, Ryan Reynolds himself was jumping from Disneyland to Disneyland dressed as Deadpool. Johnny Depp did it as Jack Sparrow back in the I think around the time that Pirates 2 or 3 released.
I remember Andrew Garfield dressed as Spider-Man on Times Square.
Yeah, yes, that was a whole what was it, Conan O'Brien, or might have been Jimmy Kimmel, but he was working as a busker dressed as Spider-Man, but then it was actually him, which is pretty cool. Spaceboy says the Barbie movie brought me back to theaters. NGL. I'm not gonna say what that means because I don't say the N-word, but I appreciate you, Spaceboy. I didn't know you were hip like that. Anyway, the Deadpool and Wolverine is currently carrying an 81%, or no, 80. I actually just refreshed it. It jumped up to 82, and 82% on the certified fresh tomato meter. Actually, I just reloaded it again. It dropped back down to 81%. Somebody said some negative shit. But anyway, critics are loving it for the most part. There have been some like, you don't say not. There have been some tryhards in the there have been some tryhards in the reviewer community that are like too cool to enjoy the movie or whatever. They're calling it like a cash grab and creative drivel and all sorts of other stuff. But it's like, oh, we get it. You're like, oh, it's not cool to like superhero movies anymore. Good for you, man. Like the Chicago Tribune, for God's sake. NGL means not gonna lie. Interesting. Billy Rhodes says, is it hip? Yeah, I think hating on superhero movies has become hip over the last several years. And I think that even with a movie that is, as big of a blockbuster as Deadpool and Wolverine, and apparently fans are loving it. Serena Best of 9 Stewart, my beautiful niece, thank you for joining us in the chat. I appreciate you. Space Boy says, I would never say a slur. What? Yeah, I was kidding. I know what NGL stands for. It was a joke. You're good. Nobody thought that except for Landon. But yeah, they're carrying an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. I was going to read some of the reviews to you, but I think that's just, there's a lot, and I'm not going to go through that. I think it'd be a little derivative, might be a bit banal. So we'll get away from that. But yeah, super excited for Deadpool and Wolverine to release tomorrow. I cannot wait. Me and little Wolvie are super excited to like hang out and go see the movie together. So pretty pumped. Oh look, I dropped it. Good thing he's got a healing factor. Fun story. This is actually Ben's. This is happening. As is this. This is also Ben's childhood toy. Anyway, yes. Spaceboy said, "Ooh, sorry, it's the autism. I get it. I'm autistic AF." And I believe that means ant faces. I'm not good with this.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Acronyms are tough for me. But anyway, so that is all of the bullet points I have for this week. Landon, you good? Is that everything?
Yeah, I have some minor things, but
really, like what?
Well, the Drake Kendrick
beef, oh my god, okay,
has moved into the world of browser games.
Okay.
Yeah. First, they made a Not Like Us browser game that was of a pixelated man, most likely Kendrick, whack-a-moling owls as they pop up based off of a lyric from Not Like Us. And then Drake fans decided to respond to that with their own browser game called Family Matters, where you throw Grammys into Kendrick Lamar's open mouth.
It's really heating up, this rivalry.
Yeah, it's going places, ain't it, folks?
Yeah, it's that and the dinosaur from when your Google page won't load. Those top three browser games, I think, in existence. Anyway,
yeah,
that's all the bullet points for this week. Landon always keeping us up to date on pop culture and what's going on. Ben called me a thief. Hey man, don't leave your shit laying around if you don't want it to end up in my collection. That's all I got to say. But anyway, so House of the Dragon episode 6 dropped this last Sunday. This series is really heating up. They're about to add some more dragon riders. The show is doing really well. I can't get enough Matt Smith, as always. And we got a super hot girl-on-girl makeout session in Rhaenyra, and I can't remember the spy's name, but that was pretty cool. So way to keep it 100, House of the Dragon. I appreciate you. But absolutely, the show's, I'm enjoying the show. It's a big, they veered off from the book storyline, but there is not a lot of the book to go by. So they've got a lot of space to fill. So I'm pretty excited to see what's going on. I can't wait to see that final like Damon and God, what is his name? The kid with the eye patch, the King's brother. I can't wait to see that fight. I'm excited for that to go down. Melisaria or something. Yeah, Ben, that's her name, Melisaria. Rhaenyra's husband has been gone for way too long, and she's finding other options. Good for her. Get out there, live your life. Especially when you're the queen. Like, who's gonna do what? You're on top of the world. Aemond, thank you, Ken Pachi. I appreciate it. Yes, and Ben, thank you. Aemond Targaryen and Daemon Targaryen. They will eventually face off in the series, and it's going to be epic, and I'm excited, and I can't wait. And hopefully it's not the same as whenever the Night King and Arya Stark faced off in the television series, because that was just incredibly sad and could have been so much better. Like, you 8 seasons of build up to that. Jesus Christ. But anyway, hopefully they don't do it with Aemon and Daemon, because I'm really excited about that fight. So yeah, there's that. Oh, what else did I say we were going to talk about? Oh, the Joker Folie Deux trailer finally dropped. We got a bit more of like the musical elements of this. It is like going to be a full-on musical. The singing and dancing from both characters. I can't tell from the trailer. I mean, I have a pretty good idea in most of the scenes. I can't tell 100% from the trailer, but some of these are clearly delusions going on in Arthur's head, and some of them are happening in real life in Gotham. We also got a little peek at Harvey Dent appearing in this trailer. So we know that Two-Face is somewhere around in the universe. Is he going to show up in this Joker film? What's going to happen? Is Joker going to die at the end? What's going on with this? Do you think we'll get a third one? Is this going to be a continuing franchise? Will we eventually see Batman in this? I don't know.
That would be really interesting if this turns out to be like a whole universe of like Batman's rogues. Joker being the first, and in that way being like the progenitor or the origin of every single other one of Batman's rogues in this storyline.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like they're probably not going to go for Joker 3 on this. I feel like this is probably going to be the final in the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movies. So this established canon that they're creating for the Joker as a solo character, what else are they going to do with it? Like, we already know that we were getting a live action spinoff of the Batman with Colin Farrell as the Penguin. That's an entirely different universe. And now they're saying they're going to spin off another television series out of that. And it's all going to lead into the Batman 2. So the series is going to be connected. But then we've also got this whole Joker verse going on over here. And Harvey Dent exists in it. We know Bruce Wayne exists in it. But like, are we building up to like a future with Batman around? Or is this just going to be a world where Batman didn't exist early enough and the Joker wins? I don't know.
I'm not too sure.
Me neither. But I am excited. It looks good. It'll at least be fun. Kenpachi said, I like Joker and this will probably be good, but I don't think they are really about DC Joker, in my opinion. I agree. I think the fact that it's Arthur Fleck and he's got a name that the Joker's never had, and the weird thing where he's just like delusional, and like, I think the thing with like Joker and Harley Quinn having their own TV show is a delusion. I think that that's not going to actually happen in the show or in the movie. I think that's going to be a thing in his head. And then I also wonder, is Harley Quinn real? Is Harleen Quinzel real in this movie, or is she also one of Joker's delusions, because she in the trailer does that same thing to her head that the girl that he was deluded into thinking he was dating in the first movie did. And I don't know if that's like a symbol that she's also going to be some weird delusion that he has, and that she's, or maybe he's having delusions of her and she also goes crazy. And then the girl that he's dreaming exists turns out to really exist. And then she joins his world. I don't know. I'm not sure where that's going to go.
They may even play harder into the angle of tricking the viewer into what is a delusion and what isn't a delusion. Like in that one image where we saw of Joker and Harley Quinn on stage, like, I don't remember seeing too much of the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
For all we know, they really could have made it to the stage. They put all that makeup and costume on themselves, but they're playing to like an empty theater, and that's actually a reality that they hit. But like something else that seems more realistic is actually like a delusion just to mess with the viewer. They could be playing on that a bit more.
So that's a very Joker thing, to have an empty or a captive audience that are actually captives is also a thing that he would do. Justin Quick, thank you for joining us. Glad you're in the chat. Glad you are here. Billy Rhodes says, so this Joker will be like 30 years older than Batman. Yeah. I mean, fundamentally, he's going to be. So I think Batman, Batman's like 20 or Batman's like 10 in the universe. In the last film, he was a 10-year-old boy. And I do believe in DC canon, Batman starts being Batman at 25. So he's 15 years off from appearing as Batman. And then we know that Arthur Fleck at that point, I believe in the first Joker film, is like 30. He's supposed to be like in his, I believe he's right at 30 or in his early 30s. So he'd only be like 45, 46. He'd be in his mid 40s, maybe early 50s. I think he could still be physically dangerous and imposing and do crazy stuff. I mean, the Joker's not really known for his fighting prowess. He's known for being crazy and having crazy plans and being incredibly smart and, having his ability of super sanity where he's not insane. He sees the world in a way that we can't understand because he's so sane, which is canonically what the Joker's power is. Anyway, it's a whole thing. So it's possible that he's a dangerous Joker. I mean, like, how old was Jack Nicholson when he played the Joker against Michael Keaton? He was definitely, I think, mid 40s, maybe a little older. So we've seen an older Joker before in a Batman movie. I don't think it's that big of a stretch. But anyway, so that's what we've got for Joker Folie. I do. Ben said, look at LeBron. He's 40 and still a top 10 player in the NBA. Yeah, and a much, much softer NBA for sissies. But anyway, and then we've also so I'm going into this blind, and I had a thought, and I could already be wrong, and the unfortunate thing is that I'm coming from a place of ignorance. But like, I was looking at the trailers for Deadpool and Wolverine, right? And this is just again, I haven't read any spoilers. I've stayed entirely away from it. Ben says the Joker could be 40 and causing all sorts of drama. But I had a thought about Deadpool and Wolverine, which I think would be really cool. And if it doesn't happen, it's okay. I'm not upset about it. But wouldn't it be really cool if Emma Stone showed up in the Deadpool movie as Gwenpool?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know who the lady under the Lady Deadpool costume is. And if it's been spoiled online, please don't tell me. I'm waiting to see it firsthand in the movie. But is there a world where we get a Gwenpool cameo and it's Emma Stone? Or Bryce Dallas Howard, who's also played Gwen Stacy in a Marvel movie? Or is it Bryce Dallas Howard under the Lady Deadpool costume? All options, all things I thought about the other day before the movie released, and all things I wanted to bring up to talk about with you folk. But again, please, if you know the answers to these questions, don't spoil it. I just want to have some mindless conjecture about it.
It would be interesting. I like Emma Stone.
I also like Emma Stone.
Yeah, I don't think she's in enough good things. So
yeah. That's valid. We just got kicked off of Instagram. If anybody can figure out why our Instagram only lets us go live for an hour, I would love to know. We got to figure that out. I know that Instagram has like a 4-hour cap, but we're nowhere near that at this point. So
I feel as though being the technical director, I should have figured this out by now.
You know what? Nobody's pointing any fingers, Landon. You're doing the best you can, and I appreciate you. Billy Rhodes says, I'm thinking Lady Deadpool is going to be Andrew Garfield. I mean, he's got the legs for it, for sure, I think. Kempachi says, I don't know, but I have thought it was Blake Lively for a while. It kind of seems that way. She wore a Deadpool costume of sorts to the release. She was in a red, like, Lady Deadpool outfit, like a bodysuit, which only fueled the rumors, I'm sure. But at the same time, it's like, it'd be cool. I'm not upset if it's Blake Lively, but also it doesn't have to be Emma Stone or Bryce Dallas Howard under that Lady Deadpool costume. We can still also get Gwenpool in this movie. And I know that there's that scene in the trailer of Deadpool shooting webs So I feel like at some point in the film there is either Jesse Stewart, my little brother. Glad to see you in the chat. At some point in the film, I believe they either meet Spider-Man, one of the Spider-Men shows up in the film, or there's a there is a video or something, or somebody mentions Spider-Man and Deadpool gets to see him on screen, or we get Spider-Gwen at some point in the movie. And that's the spider person that he's flipping webs based on, which I think would also be cool.
Spider-Gwen would be cool. I just pray, I pray that it is an adult Spider-Man that he meets, if it is a Spider-Man, so that we can actually get Deadpool flirting with Spider-Man like he does in the comics.
Absolutely. For those of you who aren't comic book fans, Deadpool is canonically in love with Spider-Man. Like that's his his true love is Spider-Man, which is what makes their team up so much fun. Because obviously Spider-Man doesn't have those kind of feelings for Deadpool, but it's interesting to say the least. But yeah, I would love to see that dynamic in live action. Absolutely. Kenpachi said Taylor Swift has pics in Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool suit. Could be her too. It could be. They've said repeatedly that Taylor Swift is not in the movie. We'll see. You know, it's very much like Andrew Garfield saying he's not the werewolf, which if any of you are fans of the werewolf tabletop game in all of its various forms, you will understand that is, or what is the other one? Mafia,
Yeah,
where you're the assassin. That's a version of werewolf. And then there's another one. Assassin, I think, is another one. But anyway, they keep denying, but it's possible she's in the movie, and I'm again not watching or reading any spoilers, so hopefully I'll just find out tomorrow when I'm watching it. I'm excited about that. But yeah, so that is the baseless conjecture for the show. That is all I wanted to talk about. Kenpachi said, I am surprised Ryan doesn't say he is not in the movie. Freaking Feige. Yeah, absolutely. All those NDAs out there, man. You got to be careful. Marvel, Disney specifically is legendarily litigious. They will sue your pants off for any reason whatsoever. You got to be careful out there. Disney's got a lot of big lawyers. But that brings me to another topic that we'll be discussing today, and that is our 5 favorite super suits. Welcome to the hit list. Welcome back to the show. Tonight on the hit list, we are talking our top 5 favorite super suits. So for each and every one of you, please get your lists in the chat so that Landon can regale us with his beautiful voice reading what your top 5 favorite superhero suits are. I guess it can be any super suit. It could just be a really nice suit. If you're like, yeah, the fall collection from Dolce & Gabbana really does it for me. I guess, no wrong answers. Throw them out there. Don't be scared. We won't make fun of you. Or we will. You just never know with us. But Landon, you want to kick us off with your number 5?
Dang it, Danny, that would have been a good idea. Just pick all the different supers whenever they're wearing suits.
I like it. I like it.
Just like have it be like Kingpin and then Lex Luthor. Okay, so my number 5. I will admit, this isn't so much a number 5 that I love. This is a number 5 that is a cry for help. It is the Lee Bermejo Riddler. I don't know why, but I think he looks really good here. That is a camo suit, a splotched purple shirt, a question mark medallion, 70s glasses, and I think it looks good. Can somebody please tell me what's wrong with me?
What is this from?
This was a alternate cover of, or variant cover of, I can't remember which issue it was, but it's drawn by Lee Bermejo.
Okay.
He's drawn this Joker only this Riddler a couple of times, and the other one was for Dear Detective, an art book.
Mm-hmm.
In the actual comic, he doesn't look like this either. He has more of a beard that kind of looks more like Oliver Queen's beard. So if he just dyed it all full blonde, he would look like the Green Arrow. Please explain to me what's wrong with my brain. If anyone out there can tell me, I'd be very grateful.
Yeah, that's I am a big fan of functional superhero and villain costumes. It is questionable why the Riddler, if you know anything about Edward Nigma, why he would own a camouflage suit, top to bottom. But he's made some questionable life choices vis-a-vis calling himself the Riddler and basing his whole shtick around puzzles. That being said, like I could see like Machine Gun Kelly rocking this. Like I think that's a legit like going for like things that could happen in real life. I think that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
So there's that. What do we have in chat?
Billy Rose or Kenpachi Zaraki's number 5 is Captain Caveman.
Yeah, so from the Hanna-Barbera superhero group, I guess. Captain Caveman, absolutely. He basically he's just covered in hair. I don't even think he wears clothes.
I think it's furs, technically.
Is it furs?
Yeah.
I thought it was his own body hair covering him.
I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've seen anything Captain Caveman.
Get in the comments. Is somebody look that up for us? Is Captain Caveman naked underneath that fur?
And if so, could you get those pics as well?
Yeah, send the pics.
Billy Rhodes, number 5 is Spider-Gwen. I don't know why adding a hood to an otherwise unremarkable spider suit makes it so cool, but it does.
Yeah, and also her superhero name is Ghost Spider, not Spider-Gwen. Obviously you're not going to throw your real name into your superhero name. But Ghost Spider is it works. That costume works for whatever reason. I love it. I love it in all the variants that I've seen. The Carnage version, the Venom version, and then the standard Spider-Gwen costume. I think they're all awesome.
Yeah. Ben Stewart's number 5 is Homelander. It's just perfect down to the last minute detail. And he never takes it off, apparently.
Yeah, he just rocks that costume 24/7. We've never really seen Homelander's closet and whether he's got like a closet full of these things or if he basically just wears the one costume, but he gets covered in a lot of blood. And I don't picture Homelander doing his own laundry. So I imagine somebody's putting fresh, clean Homelander outfits in his closet every day.
I imagine every time he gets covered in blood, they just hose him down like in Pulp Fiction. You know the scene I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that.
Yeah. They're just Billy says, so I need to change Super Billy. Kenpachi says he's pretty sure he's naked under the hair.
This is important information.
Yeah, Billy. I'm not sure. I've never seen you and Super Billy in the same room at the same time, so I'm not sure what the two of you look like standing next to each other, to be honest with you. My number 5 is from a fun little Marvel and DC crossover. It combines two of my favorite characters of all time, and that is the Dark Claw. If you're not familiar with this is Wolverine in a world where he's also Batman, and he's an artist. He makes all of his money by painting 3 slashes on canvas, and apparently people just love that. And so he made his billions. And he's also a mutant, and he decides to go out and fight crime in this cool costume that is a great amalgamation of both Wolverine and Batman's costumes, and I absolutely love it.
Explain to me how the intersection of Wolverine and Batman is artist.
Right, exactly. That was so they made some really interesting decisions with the amalgam universe whenever they merged the characters together. The Super Soldier, which is the Captain America Superman crossover, is also has a really interesting origin. He's an alien, I think, but also gets the Super Soldier serum and then becomes a hero for the government. Like they just made some really weird choices. But also his villain is the Hyena, which is a mashup of Sabretooth and the Joker. And he's got like the Joker's face paint and like Sabretooth's body, but then he's just got a bunch of spots on him, which makes him a hyena. So they made some interesting choices with that whole crossover.
Yeah. See, like Joker mixed with Sabretooth being a hyena does make more sense thematically.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, the Wolverine, because it was Logan. It's our MC or our Marvel 616 Wolverine. Logan is who is the guy out under the mask. Like he's not Bruce Wayne. And yeah, he's a tortured guy who makes dark art, and the art is 3 slashes on a canvas. So I mean,
Alrighty.
it's not as bad as when Stan Lee reimagined the DC universe. Those are way worse. Like way worse.
Well, you don't like professional wrestler Batman?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Whenever he just mixed Spider-Man's origin with Batman's. Yeah. And the bat costume is literally a giant bat, like with a bat head, and yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
I have them. They're all down there. But yeah.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have all the issues. Nightwing was the most interesting one, where he was like a spy, and then DC then later did a thing where Dick Grayson got shot in the head and lost all of his memories and became this character named Rick Grayson, and he was a real dickbag, and he ended up being secretly being a spy before he got his memories back. So they basically just took that and folded it into actual Nightwing's origin.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there's that. That's a thing that happened.
Comics are crazy, man.
They are, and convoluted and fun. I think the most fun of being a comic fan is keeping up with all the diverging storylines and all the weird shit they do to these characters. What do you got for number 4?
My number 4 will also need just a smidge of explaining. It is the Golden Age Flash's outfit.
Okay.
So imagine this. You're a supervillain. You've worked hard. You got the henchmen or the robot army. You got your tech or your magic or what have you. You are on top of it all. And then all of a sudden, you just see a blur shoot across. All your men are taken out. All your tech is destroyed. You don't know what happened. And then you get hit upside the head. You're on the ground. You're dazed. You look up. You're expecting some super powered person just destroying everything, and you just see a guy in a long sleeve shirt, jeans, and a helmet. And on top of all that, of just having your ass handed to you, he looks down and genuinely says, "Hey, are you okay? I hit you a bit too hard. Are you all right?" I would be so pissed. This is perfect just to enrage villains.
Yeah. So Jay Garrick, obviously, the helmet is Hermes. He's copying the Greek god of what is Hermes, the god of messenger? He's the messenger god. Obviously copying Hermes in his look, and then a little bit Flash Gordon with the lightning bolt on the stomach. But yeah, that's a classic look, man. I love the Jay Garrick Flash costume, and we got some really cool takes on it in the Flash television series. Whatever they introduced Zoom in season 2, I think, or 1. And he had the Jay Garrick costume, and then whenever they introduced later the original Flash from the 1990s Flash TV series, and I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, as the actual Jay Garrick, and his costume was even better. But those were great spins on the character. But yeah, the classic Flash costume was just like a dude in like high-rise jeans and a red sweatshirt with like a metal hat on. Yeah, that was an interesting choice. But man, it's classic, man. It holds up. I love that Flash costume.
Yeah, I still think it's definitely iconic.
And then in Kingdom Come, they did a mashup. Like the Flash ended up being like a mashup of all of the different Flashes together, and he had like Jay Garrick's helmet and then like a whole red body thing going on. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I love all the homages to the original Jay Garrick Flash.
Yeah.
What do we got in chat?
Ben Stewart's number 4 is Batman Beyond for animated, but but I'm not putting Batman on my list twice. So also Batfleck suit. That is my Batman right there.
Yeah, the Batman v Superman Batfleck suit is really good. Like, it's, again, my favorite on-screen Batman to date. I'm really sad that we got the perfect actor playing Batman in a great Batman costume, other than the weird bat symbol. I think it was too chunky. They could have done. I think they should have done the Arkham bat symbol on that Batman. I think it would have been really cool. But it makes me sad that in the worst era for DC films, we got the perfect Batman and the perfect Superman and the perfect Wonder Woman, and they couldn't get a good movie out of any of them. Yeah. I wouldn't say the perfect Aquaman. Jason Momoa is pretty far from what Aquaman is, but I do enjoy the first Jason Momoa Aquaman movie. I think it's good. I think Aquaman suffers from a lot of like classic like blonde white dude superhero problems, and they did a great job of making him more like Maori, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I think Mimosa did a good job. He's definitely not like classic Aquaman, but like he did good, especially for the material that was given to him.
Yeah, I like that he made him more of a Chad. You know, Aquaman tends to be a bit like an uppity sea prince.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, I enjoyed Momoa's version of the Aquaman, and I'm not a purist. I think it was a good change. I enjoy changes for good reasons, and I think that one fit. The Flash, I could take or leave. Like, I wasn't crazy. I was never crazy about Ezra Miller's version of the Flash. I think the movie was okay. I enjoyed what they did. Obviously, you had to like take the CGI and just like forget that there's better options out there, and they could certainly have turned in a better movie. But I do think it was a decent Flash story altogether. I do think it could have been done better, but I didn't care for the armored Flash costume. It doesn't really make sense. The Flash is supposed to be like hella fast, so like let's cover him in really thick, big pieces of armor for whatever reason. Didn't really make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the armor weighs him down any.
Realistically, I don't think they in the movie it appeared to weigh him down at all, but I do think realistically, if you're a character that is supposed to move at like speeds that cannot be conceived by the human mind, the idea of putting you in chunky armor seems a bit odd.
Yeah.
Like it would make more sense for Batman than it did for the Flash, for sure.
Speed Force excuse or something or other, it could still work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you on that, Landon.
Kenpachi Zaraki's number 4 is Mystique. Technically, she's always naked. She uses her powers to simulate clothing.
That's true. Yes, absolutely. I love Mystique as a character. I think both cinematic versions of her have been great. The weird decision to make her like just put like a model in like nothing and just put some pasties that are like scaled over her boobs and stuff. That was like how can we make this as like edgy as possible? Yeah, like scintillating as possible, because I think the white dress Mystique from the comics would be so much better to be on the big screen. But they have that problem where like they have to come up with an explanation for everybody being dressed the way they are in comics, or in movies and live action stuff, and it's like that would have been really cool to get that version of Mystique. And I still hope that at some point we get the white dress with the skull on her forehead version of Mystique from the comics and the animated series.
It would be fun for just one superhero movie to have somebody ask, hey, why do you have that costume? Just for the superhero to go, because I want to dress like this.
Yeah.
I don't need an excuse.
Or like Captain America, instead of it being the explanation that it was like an or USO tour costume that they then had to like turn into an actual like battle time costume. Just be like, superheroes wear costumes. Like, why are you wearing that? It's like, have you never picked up a comic book? This is what we do. Like, it's because comic books exist in all of your superhero media, and it'd just be like, yeah, you just got to get a cool costume. That's just what you do, man.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Billy Rhodes, number 4 is the new 52 Red Robin. They got rid of the solid black full mask to a domino mask, and the changes to his cape to look more like wings.
I actually don't hate the Dr. Midnight costume that they put on Red Robin. I thought that was a really great halfway point between Batman's costume without the bat ears and like your classic like Robin costume. I thought it was a really good step in the right direction. Now I did like the new 52 costume as well, but I would like to see him go back to that Dr. Midnight inspired costume personally. Just me. I thought that was the best Red Robin costume so far.
I'm not familiar with any version of Red Robin, so I can't weigh in too much.
Okay, so it's Tim Drake, the third Robin,
Yeah.
took on the moniker of Red Robin instead of when he was getting out from under being, well, I guess when Damian was introduced as the new Robin, he decided to step away and become his own hero. And, Nightwing and Red Hood were already taken. So he was like, I guess I'm Red Robin now. And he's had a couple different variations of the suit. But for my money, I think the Dr. Midnight one was basically a Batman costume, but it had the Dr. Midnight colors. And then it had a cowl like Batman's, but it didn't have the bat ears. So it's just a sleek, like over the head black costume.
All right.
Yeah, big fan. Ben said Red Robin, great fries. And then Kempachi said, thank Robin with pants and all red. Yeah, it's closer to the Adventures of Batman and Robin costume, where his legs and shirt were red. Billy Rhodes says it looks too much like Space Ghost to me. I could see that. It is similar to Space Ghost. I do wonder who came first, Dr. Midnight or Space Ghost, who was the originator of that look. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So somebody look it up. Who came first, Space Ghost or Dr. Midnight? My number 4 comes from the world of Marvel Comics, and it is Wolverine in his X-Force costume. If you aren't familiar with this, it is a gray and black version of the Wolverine costume with red lenses, and it is bad as can be. It is an awesome costume. I love it. We have yet to see this in live action, but again, we're getting our first Wolverine costume in live action with Deadpool and Wolverine tomorrow. So hopefully someday we'll get to see a really cool X-Force costume as well. But I love the gray and black tones on the X-Force costume. Landon, what do you have for 3?
My number 3 is very much a classic to me. It is Dr. Doom's suit.
Oh, yeah.
It is always intimidating in any iteration you have him in. Sometimes it looks more like a knight suit of armor. Other times he has just like a little bit of tech in there just to show, hey, I'm not just about magic. I got tech stuff with me too. Sometimes he shows a bit of both. But no matter what, it's always just, you're going to be in for a fight.
Yeah.
Just looking at the guy.
Yeah. It's always a bad time when it's Doom o'clock. But dude, yeah, the Dr. Doom costume is classic. They broke the mold when they made that one. There has never been another comic character that has that stands in the place that Doom stands. And it's so weird because a lot of the Fantastic Four villains are just so goofy. And Dr. Doom has been that goofy villain at times, but there is not a person in the world who doesn't take Doom seriously when you see him in a video game, whether he shows up in a cartoon. When Doom's there, the mood changes entirely.
He's a villain that, like, Spider-Man would make one joke about his name at the very beginning because that's what Spider-Man does, and then quickly come to regret that decision.
Yeah. I almost feel like Dr. Doom for Marvel occupies the same space that Batman fills for DC. It's like you can make all the jokes you want about Doom, but whenever he shows up in something, you're like, fuck, Doom's there. Like whenever Thanos was talking smack to him in Secret Wars, and he was talking about how he's eternal and he's he wielded the Infinity Stones, and Doom is just a man, and Doom just like reaches out and like reaches through Thanos's body and grabs his spine and then accelerates his aging until he turns to dust, and he's like apparently not, and just drops his spine to the side. Like, you don't mess with Doom, man.
Don't mess with Doom.
You don't mess with Doom. What else we got?
Kenpachi Zaraki's number 3 is Groot.
Yeah. in all of his various forms. I'm assuming Kenpachi is probably talking about comic book Groot, but also the live action Groot was just as good, I think. And then with the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where we got Alpha Groot, there's just been so many great versions of him, but he's a great character, great look.
Yeah. Also, Ben, you are right. All white suits just really hit different.
That's valid.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. It's just they're untouched in a way. And it's always on somebody who usually deserves like high status in the superhero or supervillain hierarchy. So it just has that extra little touch of like, it's good.
Yeah, what's the Nemesis? There's a comic series called Nemesis, and it's basically if Batman had gone bad and he was the villain, and he wears an all-white suit that is basically Batman's costume, but again, much like the Red Robin suit, it doesn't have the bat ears, and he is like scary, evil, and awesome. Mm-hmm. And then I think more recently there's been a white Knight version of Batman that has been put in the comics. So there's a white costume Batman as well recently. But you're right, yeah. And Moon Knight,
Moon Knight.
Absolutely, Moon Knight. Kenpachi says all mine are naked. Birthday suits are my favorite super suits. Love it.
Billy Rhodes, number 3 is The Shadow. I'm not going to explain why, because only he knows.
Yeah, the Shadow, great character, played by Alec Baldwin in the movie. That's a bit of a throwback to the 90s. A long time comic character. He's been around forever. I believe the Shadow inspired the Batman character. I think the like detective aspect of Batman is inspired by the Shadow. So yeah, it's a cool character.
And Stewart's number 3 is Spider-Man 2099. That costume is just so classic. I used to play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 as him doing kickflips and shit. And he's like a vampire and a baddie.
Yeah, Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man of the future, 2099. Those of you who've seen Across the Spider-Verse, he plays a anti-hero character there. He's like the foil to Miles Morales, and then they end up working together by the end. But yeah, he's it's interesting because like Spider-Man transcends like Peter Parker in being cool, because the only character to survive the Ultimate Universe, like we talked about, like the main character survived the Ultimate Universe was Miles Morales. His Spider-Man was popular enough that he's the only one that survived it for the most part. I mean, obviously, we talked about this last week. The Maker and James, what's his name? I forget his last name. It's Wolverine's son in the Ultimate Universe. Both survived the Ultimate Universe, but Miles is the most well-known. And then in the 2099 universe, so there was an entire 2099 universe. There was Hulk 2099, X-Men 2099, Ghost Rider 2099, Ravager 2099, Death's Head 2099. Like there was a whole universe of this. And the only one still talked about, and the only one that really survived it is Spider-Man 2099. He's the only character that's still around.
Mm-hmm.
So like Spider-Man just has this like staying power. And then if you look at like the M2 universe, which if you're fans of that at all, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there was a universe called the M2 universe. And the M2 universe was where all of the superheroes had gotten older and it was the next generation. So like there was a M2 X-Men where it was like the kids of the original X-Men, and like Juggernaut's son was a member, and like they had this whole M2 universe with all these different characters. And then that's where Spider-Girl comes from, which is Mayday Parker. And all of the rest of those comics got canceled. All that comic line got canceled, and then folding all of them into just Spider-Girl. So that universe still existed for a really long time, but it was just in Mayday Parker's Spider-Girl universe. So like the M2 Daredevil and Green Goblin and all of that were still around. And that was the series that Marvel tried time and time again to cancel, and sales every time they got they thought about canceling it, or there was a rumor that they were canceling it, sales would go through the roof, and they'd keep it around, and then people would forget about it a little bit. And then when people started rumoring that like sales were down and they were going to cancel it, it'd come back up. So like 6 or 7 times in a row, they tried to cancel this series, and it just kept coming back. And I believe that Mayday Parker, Spider-Girl character, is still around to this day in the Marvel Comics. But it's like it's all a testament to Spider-Man's staying power, and how it doesn't have to be Peter Parker that's Spider-Man, but any Spider-Man character can last.
Spider-Man makes everything better.
It's true.
Also, screw Thanos being eternal. Screw Galactus surviving the ends of his universe. Spider-Man survived the end of their universes, apparently.
Multiple universes. Yes. So they did and here's another one. They did the Marvel Mangaverse. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that either, but they did a manga version of all of the Marvel superheroes. So there was a manga Avengers and Hulk and X-Men. And then there was a manga Spider-Man. And the story with manga Spider-Man was that instead of being bitten by a spider and being given spider powers, he was from the Spider Clan, which is a clan of ninjas fighting against the Venom Clan, which is another clan of ninjas. And so instead of spider powers, he's just got like shurikens and like grappling hooks and stuff. And that version of Spider-Man, after the mangaverse came and went and nobody cared about it, is still around. And he's still one of the coolest characters in existence. And he was in the, not the movies, but in the Marvel Spider-Verse crossovers in the comics. He showed up. And again, so you've got, what have I listed now? 5 Spider-Men that have survived the death of their universe. Like, yeah, absolutely. He's got incredible staying power. Spider-Man is such a cool character.
Now I'm just imagining a storyline a la Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, where it's all these different Spider-Men remembering that their old universes die and just going berserk.
That would be crazy. It's not unlike one of the more modern Thor storylines, and this is a little bit more comic and mythos for you guys. But in the 70s, the 60s and 70s, when Thor was introduced into the comics, he had an alter ego. So there was Dr. Donald Blake, which was Thor's alter ego on Earth, and he had a bum leg, and he walked around with a cane. And whenever he smacked the cane against something and possessed the power of Thor, he would change from Donald Blake into Thor. And so initially they were supposed to be 2 separate people. And then it turned out that Donald Blake was the alter ego of Thor that Odin had like put Thor's mind and body in. So he thought he was a human when he banished him to Earth. So they abandoned Donald Blake a long time ago. Like I would say in the 80s, around then, they abandoned Dr. Donald Blake. It just wasn't a part of Thor's storyline. Well, then in like the last couple of years, they reintroduced the character. And so whenever Thor would become Thor, the body and mind of this Dr. Donald Blake character that Odin created would go into this space outside of reality. And Thor forgot about him. And so for many, many, many years, Donald Blake was stuck in this space between reality with no one else to see or do or anything. And he went fucking nuts. And then they had a storyline where he got freed from that universe, and he became one of Thor's biggest villains. He had Asgardian power. He was nuts. He was a cannibal. He was running around killing people, and Thor had to defeat his alter ego of Donald Blake, who he had driven nuts by forgetting he existed. So kind of that would be kind of what would happen with the Spider-Men if they realized that they're all from universes that have died, and all of the people they've lost and history and everything. I imagine it'd be a scenario like that.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
Comics are crazy.
Comics are crazy. I love comics. But yeah, is that all of chat?
Yes, that's all chat.
All right, my number 3. We actually did see this costume kind of in Deadpool 2, but as the Deadpool X-Force costume. So again, very similar to Wolverine's gray and black costume. It's gray and black, red highlights. This is from a really great series, the X-Force series, where it was Deadpool, Wolverine, X-23, Shatterstar, Warpath, Domino, they were the X-Force team, and they were literally tasked with going around and killing threats to the X-Men and mutants. And they were just like a spec ops group that was going around killing people, and it was a really good story. And the costumes are just incredible. But in Deadpool 2, after he gets blown up, the colors of his costume change from red and like light red and dark red to gray and black. And that was intentionally an homage to the X-Force costume.
Technically, the X-Force isn't part of the X-Men.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So Deadpool's not technically an X-Men.
Not in that situation. No, he wasn't. Landon, what do you have for number 2? Give me a hot, steamy number 2 right here in the middle of the show.
Told y'all we were going to hit one of those ratings tonight.
Yep. There we go. There's the Michelangelo I was looking for a while ago.
My number 2 is the Static Shock costume.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, from the TV series.
Yeah, from the TV series. Straight up, for a lot of people my age, this was like my first introduction to classic superhero characters. He wasn't really that... He's not that old of a character. I believe DC created him, I believe, early 90s, late 80s, if I remember right.
It was the mid 90s.
Mid 90s.
And it wasn't technically DC. It was their Milestone line that introduced Static X, which ended up being Static Shock.
Milestone, okay. Which eventually just ended up folding into mainline DC anyway.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Again, he survived the death of the Milestone universe and being folded into DC as well.
But yeah, just like his suit was like the epitome of cool when I was younger. He has the jacket, the gloves, the mask that also just stops right at the hairline. He's got a symbol across the thing, and it's that blue, black, and gold color scheme. It was just, it blew my young little mind when I saw it the first time.
So the Milestone comic Static X costume was a little bit different, but I do prefer the Static Shock television series costume over the two of them.
The Milestone one was just mostly black, and he had a baseball cap with
it. Was a Malcolm X cap.
Yeah, Malcolm X cap.
And that's where the X in Static X came from. He was it was a reference to Malcolm X and his attempts at equality and that whole like stance of like the Magneto versus Professor X kind of thing. Yeah. What else we got in the chat?
Kenpachi Zaraki's number 2 is Love Sausage from The Boys. Well, he wears a suit, but he has his dick out. Slammed and choked mother's milk with it. I laughed so hard.
The fact that and spoilers for the end of The Boys season 4, but the fact that whenever they took out the team at the end of the season, and the person they sent to take out mother's milk again was Love Sausage, was hilarious. Like I laughed so hard that they did that callback from the Super Orgy from the 2 seasons ago. Yeah. Really good.
Ben Stewart's number 2 is the 90s blue and yellow Cyclops costume. He always looked so cool, and they portrayed him pretty well as the leader and strategist in the show, I think.
Yeah, that classic yellow and blue Cyclops costume, I don't think they've ever topped it. And all the different Cyclops costumes they've given him since, like the one that is in like Marvel vs. Capcom, like that costume, I still think to this day is the best Cyclops costume. That period where he was wearing like the all black costume with the red X over his face and he had the full cowl, like that costume was like they were doing too much. Like for me, yeah, classic yellow and blue, yellow visor, red lens. That's the best Cyclops costume to date, I think.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
It is classic. It's what I think of whenever I hear the word Cyclops.
Yeah.
Billy Rhodes, number 2. Whenever Alex Ross draws Superman, not so much as the costume itself, but he draws him in a way that you can tell he grew up on a farm. Big, bulky, and looks like he has old man strength.
Yeah, totally. I can agree with that. He looks like he's a big eater. He's that like classic like 1950s guy in good shape, as opposed to like a modern man in incredible shape, actually. Grab this real quick. Yeah, I got Kingdom Come right here. And yeah, you got the let's see. I can give a great example of this because I know like the first time he shows up in the Superman costume is like a full splash page. Right there. Boom. Yeah, that version for sure. It's definitely closer to like the Christopher Reeve Superman, I think. Where he didn't have like muscles in his suit or anything crazy like that. It was just a man in incredible shape dressed in a spandex suit. Like I think that's kind of what Superman should be. What else we got? That's all of our number 2s.
That's everything in chat.
My number 2 is Deadpool in his X-Men costume. So Deadpool has never officially been a member of the X-Men, but he has tried several times to get on the team. And I think notably, this is my favorite of the costumes. You can actually, this is an alternate costume in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and it's the one I always pick. But yeah, that's one of my favorite costumes of all time. It's so great. Like it keeps the Deadpoolness of it, but it makes a great homage to the X-Men teams. And Deadpool's want to be on the team, even though they won't let him. Because also in the MCU, Deadpool, or in the 616 Marvel, Deadpool isn't a mutant either. He's the product of the Weapon Plus program, like Captain America. He's actually a super soldier.
Yeah. He's a mutate.
Yes, he's a mutate, like Spider-Man. Yeah. Landon. Oh, look, you're making the face. You're excited. Hold on.
It's not every day I get to give you a number 1.
Yeah, Landon, are you ready to give me your number 1? Landon, your number 1, please.
Okay. So, my number 1 is the suit from The Dark Knight Returns, when Batman is about to fight Superman. I really love this suit. Batman looks like he's in a suit of armor. He looks like a walking tank. But you know it's Batman still. Still got his cowl. He's still got everything. And since you know it's Batman, you know this thing isn't just going to protect him. Mm-hmm. He's got gadgets. He's got things tied in there. But it's not showing everything right up front. It's techie. And you know it's techie. But it doesn't just give away everything. You know what I mean? It's not like an Iron Man version of the Batman suit. And I just love how understated yet imposing it is.
Absolutely. That Batman in his 60s version of Batman is just so huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's the thing that, like, especially and this is from the animated movie, but in the comic it's like he's massive. Like
yeah, Bruce Wayne is built like a brick shithouse in both the comic and the movie.
Yeah, that's like the premium, what is the new absolute? The absolute DC Batman is like the precursor of this Batman. Like that's what they're going for. He's just weirdly bulky and massive.
Yeah, but it makes sense because he hasn't been Batman for like 15 years at this point, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he had taken a break and he didn't think there was a need for Batman anymore. And then he found a reason. Absolutely.
Oh, he always finds a reason.
Yeah. And I think they put this in the cartoon too, but I think the craziest part about all of that is like in the final fight he has with the Joker, where he breaks the Joker's neck, but he does it accurately and like strategically to the point where he just like can't walk.
Yeah.
But he leaves him alive. And then out of revenge, the Joker like twists his own spine until he breaks his back and dies.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just nuts. Like that's one of my favorite endings of a Batman Joker fight ever.
Yeah. Last words were, "I'll see you in hell."
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And the main villain of that whole comic was Ronald Reagan.
Yes, and Superman.
Mostly Ronald Reagan.
Mostly Ronald Reagan, though. Yeah, absolutely.
Superman comes in at the third act.
Yeah, and then in the sequel, it's Lex Luthor.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the sequel. So.
I've got them. They're over here.
Oh.
Somewhere. Anyway, you can look at them later.
But yeah, that was my number one.
Absolutely. What do we have in chat?
Kenpachi Zaraki's number one is Dr. Manhattan, the one with the big blue hanging out.
Yeah. Yes. And actually, I have Watchmen right here. And yeah, it's a wow. Let me just knock everything off my shelf. But as the comic progresses, he starts out in like a full black suit, and then he ends up in just these little like black underwear, and then by the end, he's just not wearing any of that. He's just naked. And yeah, and you know, again, Zack Snyder film where they CGI'd a giant blue dong onto this character for the movie. Sorry, I'm putting my shelf back together. Billy said Ronald Reagan the villain, just like real life. Yeah, we've cumulatively been trying to recover from the effects of Reaganomics for like 40 years.
Yeah.
Is that all of our number ones in chat so far?
Oh, no, we got Billy Rhodes.
Okay.
So. Billy Rhodes, number one, is the red uniforms from Star Trek 2-6. These are my favorite out of all the uniforms Starfleet has had. To me, they are the most realistic looking because they look dumb and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was weird too. The progression of the Star Trek uniforms for the movies was like, here's the movies from the original show, or here's the uniforms from the original show, and then like let's add a bunch of ruffles and like turtlenecks and shit. And it was like, what was it? Who made this decision?
They repeatedly bounce in between form and fashion in all the different shows and movies.
Yeah. I enjoyed the Next Generation costumes, and I really enjoyed the newer timeline, the Chris Pine and Forward costumes. They did a really good job on those suits. They just look like, you know, they did a great job of combining like military, like utilitarianism with the classic Star Trek costumes.
Yeah. Ben Stewart's number one is the classic Superman costume. Spider-Man costume. Shit. Fuck. I'm allowed to say that now. We're TVMA.
It's true.
The classic Spider-Man costume. Specifically Todd McFarlane's, as he was the artist in the 90s that I saw the most. So detailed.
This is the McFarlane Spider-Man.
Oh. Though, when I think of Spider-Man, I think of like the Marvel versus Capcom, where he is super flexible and lengthy.
This is the Amazing Fantasy costume. This one, and this one had like the most articulation of all the Spider-Man figures to date when this one came out. But it's got the like smaller oval eyes, and it's the blues are a little darker. But I love this Spider-Man costume. But then there's, and I think this is closer to the one you're talking about, Ben. But this one right here, this is the like classic red and blue, lanky Marvel vs. Capcom style Spider-Man costumes. But yeah, dude, this for my money, this is the Spider-Man costume. Like this is what I want them all to look like. And it's not terribly far off from what they put Peter in Ultimate Spider-Man. I think that was a really good, that version of the Spider-Man costume was awesome. I'm dropping Spider-Man left and right over here. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the McFarlane Spider-Man right here, from when he fought the Lizard. Yeah. So yeah, dude, absolutely. I love the Spider-Man costume. It's a great choice. That is all of chat, correct?
That is everything
all
in
right.
chat.
My number one is the classic. It's a little updated from his first appearance, but the classic yellow and blue Wolverine costume. I love this costume. I know that like they've tried a few times to like update it. Like when they did New X-Men, they tried to give him a different costume. They've got the one where he's like, it's all blue and yellow. where the like black slashes aren't as prominent, and they've got the ones where like the blue and yellow helmet, or the black and yellow helmet with the black slashes, the blue shoulder armor, the blue gloves, the black and blue boots. Like for me, that's the perfect Wolverine costume, and it's my favorite costume of all time. And I'm really excited that we get to see a version of it on screen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Cool. That has been all of the hit list for tonight. If there's any other people out there that want to add their list to the chat, we will comment on it on our social media. The hit list for next week is going to be I should really mark this page. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm feeling verklempt.
How's everybody doing out there?
Yeah. Update Landon on your lives.
Hey, you have a new person in
Xana, hi, welcome. Better late than never. Absolutely. Happy hump day. I always do my best every week to celebrate. It doesn't always work out, but I try. We're going to have to go and do another fan-generated hit list again as well. Let's do... Oh, here we go. I actually think we've exhausted this list.
Oh, dang.
Let's do top 5 alternate realities. Or 5 favorite... Your 5 favorite alternate realities. Does Katrina know you're trying every week? Or yeah, she absolutely knows. Weirdly, she's the only roadblock that I encounter trying to celebrate every week. So it really hinges on her, honestly, whether I get to celebrate or not. But anyway, that has been the hit list. Landon, I think that does it for this week. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
You're feeling good? Feeling like we had a great show. I'm excited. Thank you all for being in the chat. As always, I could do this show in a vacuum and just talk to myself for 2 hours, but having people there makes it all so much better. I appreciate each and every one of you for being in the chat. Thank you for giving me your time. And I love and appreciate you. Landon, you got anything else for the nice people?
Thank you all for coming. Like Danny said, we're always grateful to see everybody, to have everybody talk. Lord knows I've met some great people in this chat, and I'm glad that you all continue to stick around.
Absolutely. And to each and every one of you out there, I'll leave you with a bit of a thought. But just remember that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can give to greatness. You guys have a great night. We'll catch you later.
See y'all.